Hey girl, hey! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jensine. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. If you're an oldie but goodie subby, hey girl, it's so good to see you. Now today we're going to be talking about the newest Fenty Beauty launch, the Pro Filt'R concealer and the setting powders, and I've also got the setting powder brush that's included in this launch. So I'm a little bit late to the party on this collection launch, but I decided to go ahead and do some more in-depth research. I really wanted to know how these products are actually supposed to be used by the consumer and give you guys my first impressions. Now make sure that you stay tuned till the end because I will be doing a wear test so you guys can see how this concealer slash setting powder holds up. I'm hoping to do at least 6 hours. Hopefully we can get to 8 hours today. Now keep in mind, I do have oily combination skin, and I also currently live in the Northeast where it's pretty cold. I do anticipate going outside today, so you know that's the kind of conditions that these products are going to be in. Now let me go ahead and just let you know a little bit about some of these products. So I actually went out and I bought 3 different concealers, and now I've got 420, and 420 is actually my shade in the Fenty Beauty foundation. Now the shades are supposed to correspond with the foundation, so it's supposed to be slightly lighter than the foundation to make it easier for you to pick, you know, your concealer shade. So 420 is right here. I also have 390. Now I picked 390 because it is slightly lighter, but it does have the same undertone of my skin, because I did want to have more of a brightening effect and not just my regular, you know, subtle concealer shade. You'll see what I mean when I, you know, demonstrate using this. And I also brought 490 to contour because I wanted to see how these would hold up. If you like to use concealer shades to contour and you're interested, and maybe we have kind of a similar skin tone, undertone, then maybe this might be of interest to you. So the concealers are priced at $26. You know, I'm gonna say that, you know, Fenty Beauty products are not cheap, so I definitely have high expectations for these, so I'm gonna judge them accordingly. It's not a drugstore affordable product, so if I find that they're not holding up to that expectation for the price range, then I'm going to be very honest with you guys. Now I do have 2 of the setting powders. The ones that I have here are Honey, and I also have Nutmeg. Now Honey on Me is going to be more of a concealer, setting, brightening, highlighting type of setting powder. So I'm going to put this in all the areas where I do apply my concealer. Now Nutmeg is more of my actual skin color, you know, so I'm going to use that to set my whole foundation. Now the powders are $32 each, so again, not cheap. I will say something about the packaging. It feels sturdy. And also, this is my favorite part. I love when brands do this. They have a lid for the setting powder container, which I love, because if you're like me, okay, I'm messy when I do my makeup and the powder gets everywhere, even when I try to be so freaking careful. But when I use powders that have lids, it helps me out so much. I'm able to contain the mess. It doesn't just get everywhere when I open up and there's like a giant poof of powder. That even happened to me while I was in stores trying to pick out which powder was right for me. They didn't have the lids on there because of course people are gonna be, you know, testing them out, trying to figure out which one is right for them. So it doesn't make sense. But when I actually opened the box and I was like, oh, there's a lid, there's a lid. When brands do this, they freaking have my heart. So I definitely want to know what's a seemingly insignificant thing that brands do that you freaking love when they include in their products, in their packaging, because I can't be the only one. For me, it's all about the setting powder lids. And next up we have the setting powder brush. Now for me, I felt that it was worth it to purchase the brush. The brush is $34, so it ain't cheap. But in the past, I have purchased the eyeshadow brushes from Fenty. So I have the, this is the blending brush and the flat shadow brush. I freaking love these. They were such a wonderful, surprising find. They perform amazing. So when I heard that they came out with another brush, I was like, you know what? Let's try this out. Let's see if it's worth it, if it's as good and high quality as some of her other brushes that she's launched. So now that I've talked your ear off, I'm ready to go ahead and start applying some of these products. I have already primed. I have used the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'R primer all over, and in my oily areas, I've used the Huda Beauty Matte Perfection, and for my smile lines, I used the Clarins Instant Smooth Perfecting Touch. So I'm going to apply this foundation with my Kat Von D setting powder. Now I'm going to start off with about 2 pumps. Now, okay, my experience with this foundation is I freaking love this foundation. Definitely check out my review of it. But when I do apply it, it does look lighter. It's typical for this foundation to oxidize just a bit, so don't be alarmed when you see me applying this and it looks a little crazy yellow. Don't worry, it takes about 5 minutes and it definitely evens out in the color. And honestly, even though it looks freaking flawless with just the brush application, I'm going to take this makeup sponge. It's from Stand Out Beauty, and I'm just going to take some excess, a little bit, and just kind of pat it all over, make sure I get a nice even application. You know the deal. Okay, so now we're ready. First I'm going to go in with 390 just to brighten up right around my eyes. Now I got this idea because I was watching Jackie Aina's review. I love Miss Jackie, and you know what, we actually are the same color in a lot of foundations, and I saw her use this technique and I was like, you know what, it couldn't hurt. Now I do want to discuss with you guys the 3 different ways that you can apply these concealers, because you'll get different coverage depending on each one. Okay, so when you open it up here, you see the little doe foot applicator that's right there. So like I said, there's 3 different ways. If you want sheer coverage, you take the very tip of the doe foot applicator, you dot it along, and you just use your finger and blend it out. So you're gonna get sheer coverage that way. If you want more of a medium coverage, you take the side of the doe foot applicator right there and you just press it right there, and you can blend it out with a sponge, you can blend it out with your concealer brush, however you like to do that. That's how you're gonna get medium. If you want full, you take the side and you literally swipe it, covering it fully, and you're gonna get the fullest coverage ever. I learned that from watching Priscilla Ono's video. It's on the Sephora website, and she really just like breaks it down how to use these products. Now I like medium to full coverage just because I do have some dark circles. The foundation is covering them up just a little bit, but I'm gonna try with the medium, and if that's not enough for me, then I'll go in with the full coverage application. So just dotting this along here. I did watch a ton of reviews, and everybody and their mama said a little bit goes a long way. So that's what I'm using there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take the shade 420. Now as you can see, 390 is super yellow. So that's what's gonna give me that super brightening effect. But as you can see with 420, this is more of a deeper golden undertone. So I'm just going to dot this, take the side of the doe foot and use the side and dot it like so. So now I'm going to take 420 and I'm just going to do the bridge of my nose and my forehead. And I'm also going to take this down to my chin and also the upper lip area. So I want to make a little bit of a comment for you guys before I blend this out. As you can see, 420 is actually a lot closer to the shade of the foundation. So what you're getting when they give you the corresponding shades for your foundation number is you're not going to get something that's like super light. It's just slightly light to give you like a, you know, subtle concealing color. But if you want something that's like truly bright, you're a huge fan of the brightening, you know, you're gonna have to go like a shade or a couple shades up with your same undertone, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna take my little sponge and just blend that out. So as I blend this out, I'm just gonna let you know a few things about the concealer claims. Now, it does claim to be creamy, long wearing, and crease proof, which honey, I love. I mean, I do have naturally creasy eyes, so anything that says crease proof, I'm like drawn to it, like a moth to the flame. I love that, and we're gonna be testing that out for sure. Also, medium to full coverage, and it's sweat proof. So come that summertime, this should come in handy, or if you live in a humid area already, then that's gonna be fabulous. Also, it says it's free of parabens and phthalates, which is an A+ for me because I do have sensitive skin, so I always love that. This is what it looks like blended out. I'm gonna say the coverage with me being light-handed is fabulous. I mean, if I really truly had like very, very dark, like hereditarily dark circles, you could use the full coverage application method and it should be fabulous. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take the honey setting powder right here. So I'm gonna show you guys how Priscilla applied it because I want to give you a couple different techniques if you're having trouble with this powder or like you think it's just too drying or something. So I'm just gonna take, this is a a dirty makeup sponge, but I want to show you how she did this. So she went ahead, I'm gonna open this up. This is honey again, by the way. I'm not sure if I said that. Now, she took some of the powder. I'm just gonna pour this out here. And what she did was she took her sponge, she dipped it in here, and of course she had a lot, right? And then she went, tapped off the excess on her skin, and you see how much came off there? And then she went in like so. And she just pushed it into the skin. So you actually don't have a lot of powder left on the sponge when you do this. It's just very, very light. So again, still pushing that in. Damn! I want to say this is like hella filtered looking. Like my under eyes, they look flawless. And believe me, in real life, I mean, normally without makeup, they're kind of dry, you know? But I like this method a lot. Now I do want to try the setting powder brush right here because I want to see if there's a difference in application. So you see how much is on there. I really don't have a lot. I'm just going to dip a little bit in. It picks up a lot initially. Tap off the excess and very, very lightly. So I just did a light dusting. Honestly, I think I like this side that was using the Priscilla Ono method versus just the brush. I feel like the brush is like so light, but it doesn't set it enough. So I just want you guys to take a look. This is the brush side. This is the makeup sponge side. It might not be like a huge difference to you. It appears that this one is more set and more flawless. So I'm going to just do that same method on this side with the sponge just to like even it out because I feel like it looks a little different, you know? So while I'm applying this powder to set my concealer, I'm just gonna let you know a couple of the claims of these setting powders. Now it claims to extend wear for a filtered photo ready finish, which I could definitely already see in those areas. Also, it reduces shine and blurs pores, which so far I agree with. We'll see how long that lasts. And it claims to brighten without caking or settling into fine lines. So far, I can agree with that. I definitely want to see how long that lasts because sometimes throughout the day, you know, you might see some caking. Okay, so first off, we're gonna go ahead and start contouring. I've got my shade 490 right here. Okay, so I'm gonna be applying this to all the normal areas. I'm just going to be very light in my jawline. First, I'm gonna blend this out with a, brush, a contour brush. This one is from Real Techniques, and then I like to go in with the sponge and just kind of perfect the blending. Okay, first thing, I definitely should have dotted it because look how much came from just this simple kind of line. I didn't add a lot of contour, you guys saw, but it's definitely like a little bit goes a long way. So be careful if you use this for contouring. You just need a little bit. So I do have to admit that even though I definitely used a lot, this is actually a really nice color. I can see myself using this a lot, very frequently. Now, something I just want to say is, even though it's so pigmented, it's actually a good thing because you can use less and you can make it last longer. I'm used to being a little bit more heavy-handed with concealers because typically they're not that pigmented, they're not that full coverage. I have a couple of my favorites, but like Fenty is on a whole nother level of pigmentation, seriously. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with that, but I don't think that it's that bad. Let's go ahead and move on. Now I'm gonna take Nutmeg and I'm going to kind of tap some into the lid. And I'm just gonna start with a little bit here, and I'm gonna take the concealer brush. I'm going to be setting my whole face. Now on the website, they say that if you want a soft matte filtered effect, take the brush. Now I've kind of dusted off the excess and apply a gentle patting motion to the areas that you want to set, so it can be kind of like a pressed powder to set your Fenty foundation or any foundation that you want to use. So I do want to be honest with you guys about the color Nutmeg. I feel like it is slightly darker than my complexion, so I put it on the outsides of my face kind of to set, you know, here. So I mean, it's not exactly my skin tone, but I made it work, and I think that it definitely set it without having it look cakey. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup, and there's a few things that I want to talk to you about, and then of course we still have our wear test. All right, makeup is done. Now before I get into some important things, I know that I'm gonna get questions on my lip combo. I've used a Night Moth and I've used the I Love Sarai and ColourPop. This is Dulcet, little combined together, and they look wonderful. So I wanted to do some swatches for you guys for the concealers and compare them to the match sticks. So the match sticks that I have are Suede. This is what I've previously used as a concealer or highlighter shade. And I also have Espresso, which I freaking love to use as a cream contour. So basically, I just want you guys to see what they look like together, because maybe, you know, these shades are very similar to the concealers. I don't know yet, but let's see. So the first one here is 390. Like I told you guys, very yellow shade here. Now here we've got 420. Great, more of a dark golden as we talked about. Now to compare them against Suede, I'm just going to do this so it gets all warmed up. And as you can see, wow, Suede actually looks different. I was expecting Suede to look more like 420, but they all look different. This is definitely less of a creamier, not a full coverage. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just looks like maybe if you want that no makeup look, you know what I mean? And for my skin tone, it's not as highlighting and not as full coverage. But I do love the way that the Fenty one, the actual creamy Pro Filter concealer looks. And it doesn't look too much, you know what I mean? Okay, so let me go ahead and get the 490. Now, let's see how 490 swatches. So dark, but you've got a little bit of warmth to it, complements my skin tone very nicely. And then right here, this is Espresso. So Espresso is slightly, but not by much, slightly cooler, and it does seem also just a tad bit darker than 490. So if you don't want a warmer contour shade, then, and you do have Espresso, just keep Espresso. You don't really need to get a contour in the concealer. But keep in mind the concealer is a little bit more full coverage. It's just a little bit Probably next time I'm gonna do a couple dabs, and that's it for contouring. Okay, so I've been talking your ear off for a while. I'm gonna go ahead and come back in, I don't know, maybe we'll try like 6 hours and see how this whole thing holds up together. I'm very excited about it. I'm also a little apprehensive. I don't know what to expect, but stay tuned because you definitely want to see if this is something worth your coins and something that's gonna last you all day, at school, at work, whatever you got going on. All right, so I'm back taking a look at the time. We're about 7 hours into the wear of this makeup. So I just want to say you guys might see some natural oils on my face already. I have not put a beauty blender. I have not put a brush on my face today to touch up any oils. What you're seeing is basically, you know, how this looks. I did use some fresh vitamin nectar antioxidant glow water about 2 hours into wearing my foundation, just because I did look a little bit dry, but other than that I haven't done anything else. So I just want to say for 7 hours, I'm usually a lot oilier than this currently. I usually have to touch up, you know, and for example, I could show you what it looks like when I do touch up with a makeup sponge, but I just want you guys to get a good look. So I'm typically oily in my T-zone area, also right around the cheeks, my chin just a little bit, but today it's not that bad. These are areas where I did use the setting powder to set this, and remember that setting powder claims that it does extend the wear of your makeup and it's supposed to blur the skin, give like a filter finish, take away any shine. So I do want to say that I personally think that holds up because I know that I'm a lot oilier than this at the 7 hour mark of wearing makeup. Now I will say I think that the concealer looks pretty good. As you guys can see, my natural creases are right there. It did settle just slightly into the fine lines, but if I was normally touching up my makeup, as I'm going to show you, I'm going to do this in a little bit, I'm pretty sure it's going to look fine just from a few dabs of the makeup sponge. So just taking my beauty blender, I'm going to press that oil away, and you see that looks so nice and matte already. So just by doing that a little bit, it's like my makeup is already ready to go, ready to be refreshed. I don't even need to use another spray or spritz of setting spray. So I'm super, super impressed with the concealer and with the powder. I feel like with the concealer, I got the appropriate amount of coverage. I got a great brightening effect. I do believe that it creased very slightly, so it's not 100% crease proof, but I think that for the wear time, this is like a very, very minimal thing. Do I think this is worth your money? Hell yeah, it's worth your money. I will say the brush is a very good quality brush. I don't think it's absolutely necessary if you're looking for a great setting powder brush for all over the face or under your eyes. I think this is a great one, but it's not something that you absolutely need. The powder is phenomenal. I think you're really going to like it, especially if you're oily combination or oily in general, because it really does mattify, really blurs. I have seen some videos of people with drier skin having success with this. The key is to using a very, very light amount of powder. Don't go ham, don't bake, especially if you're not oily. If you are oily, I think you're gonna have fabulous success with baking and also using the sponge technique where you push the powder into that skin to give that blurred effect and take away that shine. So I think that Rihanna like did the damn thing. The concealer is popping. It's definitely added to my entourage of favorite concealers because I love that coverage, you know. I need to cover up those dark circles. The powder is bomb. I think that Fenty, when it comes to complexion products, they continue to just wow us. I love you guys. Thank you so much for kicking it with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.